Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Journey of an Awakening Spirit. This is Kathleen Flanagan, your host, and we're streaming on the Bold Brave TV network. The purpose of the show is to help you realize that you are not alone, that you are in control of your life. It doesn't matter where you came from or what your circumstances are. We all experience pain, suffering, hurt, abandonment, loneliness, and hopelessness. This show is here to help you turn those dark moments around and create a whole new you. Despite your success, have you felt lonely, angry, frustrated, or even suicidal? Do you long to be supported, recognized, and respected for who you are and not just the awards and accolades on your walls? You don't want to be known, identified, or remembered in a way that feels fraudulent because you achieve things out of obligation and not passion. Do you find yourself sitting quietly at lunch, listening to what lights you up only to feel shame, fear, frustration, and resentment? Your inner turmoil and limiting beliefs surface, making you feel not good enough and afraid of doing something different. You've read the books, you've attended the seminars, and practiced the concepts and principles, and yet you still find yourself in the same rut. The lies you tell yourself perpetuate a cycle of disappointment. You say you'll change, but your self-limiting beliefs keep running the show, creating a self-fulfilling prophecy. As a certified coach, I empower you to become your authentic self. My Soul Journey program aligns you with your true purpose and your true self and guides you to find your soul vision, helping you to discover your purpose in life. I provide the tools to help you to step into your true magnificence and remember who you are. If you're interested in learning more, contact me at bravetv@kathleenmflanagan.com. Each week, I start the show with the sound of the tuning forks, bringing in love, happiness, and balance to set the tone for the show and bring out the best in both myself and my guest. Let's begin. Today I wanted to talk about shifting from the 3D to the 5D consciousness and what it actually means and how you can prepare for it. So the question I have is, when did you first feel that there was a shift? That would be the first thing, because you know when something starts going off just a little bit and you're wondering what's going on, but you're not quite sure what's going on, but you have a feeling. And this topic is important because many people are feeling that there's a sense of urgency, they're confused, things are changing and transforming in their life that they're not sure what to do or why this is happening, almost like the world is doing to you instead of you're really being in control of it. And also that there are different perspectives, and you may or may not resonate with what I have to say today, and that's okay. I don't have any issues with that. This is just a perspective of what I've experienced and how we seem to be going in and out of the third, fourth, and fifth dimensions at the same time. But here's a quote that I just would like to share with you. You don't shift into the 5D. You remember you were there all along. And that is very, there's so much truth in that I can't even tell you. But let's go down and I want to describe what the third dimensional consciousness is. And it's basically that you're in a materialistic world. It's a fear-based reality. Everything is about me, basically, because it's all about the I. And we're dealing with duality of good versus bad, right versus wrong, scarcity versus abundance, ego-driven thinking, which is competition, your survival mode, linear time, and external validation as the foundation of life. And this is pretty much, you're born, you live your life, and you die. That's linear time. And that's how we have lived most of our life. We have lived all of this. 3D consciousness has been very prominent on the earth for a very, very long time. And when we moved into the age of Aquarius is when we started shifting. Things started to shift very, very subtly, but they were shifting. And we started becoming a little bit more conscious of where we were, which when you're looking at the fourth dimension, you're looking at that this is the transitional phase. This is where the awakening is. You're starting to question reality because you're beginning to think there's more to life than this. A lot of times people would feel this pretty much in their 40s. When they start getting into their 40s, it's like all of a sudden, working for the man is not an option. And there's got to be something more than what they're living. Now, generally our parents and my parents and grandparents didn't feel that need because we were in this industrial revolution. And like my grandparents came from the agricultural into the industrial, and my parents are in the industrial, and the baby boomers are going more into, where we are today, into this technology place of instant information. The other thing in the 3D world is you have a heightened sense of awareness, but you still have a lot of emotional struggles. And with this, I would look at it that as I was growing and evolving, and I was doing a lot of this during the third dimensional world because I've been on this path since I was 16 years old. And I was aware of a lot of things because of my intuition that I had, but I was in a lot of emotional struggle. I did not understand the unconscious part of the mind. I did not understand paradigms. I did not understand the limiting beliefs. I didn't understand a lot of that. I just knew that there was something bigger and better, and I knew that, but I didn't know how to move into that. I also started noticing during that there's more synchronicity start coming up, and my intuition increased. So as we're transitioning, we start noticing, because we're starting to let up on holding in the reins, so to speak. You're letting spirit drive the car a little bit more than you never did before. And I know that for me, it was challenging to let go of the reins because I felt like I needed to control my life. I knew how to get what I wanted. I knew how to manipulate life. I didn't manipulate people. I could do that, but I didn't. I chose to manipulate my circumstances, and I became a master at it, except for the problem is that I wasn't co-creating. I was doing everything myself because I was the Lone Ranger. But when I started to ease up on the reins, and I would say this was back in 2008 when I moved to Chicago, is when I started to really let go of the reins, and I started noticing more synchronicities in my life. As I was growing and evolving, because I was doing sound therapy at that time, and the vibrational frequency made a big difference in my life. Not that I understood it yet or knew that at the moment. This is all looking back and reflecting on it. But what I did notice is that it seemed like things started becoming magical. And I didn't identify what was happening at that moment in time, but I knew that magic was happening. And as I kept moving forward on this path, I started to realize I was allowing spirit to come in and help me, and I didn't have to do it all by myself. But that didn't mean I let go of the reins 100%, because if my fear came up, if I got in my head, the first thing I did was I took back control and I did the things that I needed to do. The other thing is you start experiencing both high and lows, and you feel stuck between two worlds. Oh my God, can I tell you about that one? It's a real struggle when you are in the middle of this transition, because you still have to pay your bills. And I can look at this, probably the strongest part of when I really identified this part was when I moved into this house that I have. Is I had elevated so much because I was so geared on what I wanted to accomplish, and I created a big dream by being able to do this. And I pushed through a lot of paradigms and self-limiting beliefs that I had at that time. And when I got on the other side of that, when we moved in the house and Sal and I sat down and we just was like, we just need to feel this house. Like there was so much energy that was going on around us, but it wasn't the energy around the house or the neighborhood or anything like that. It was, we had gone up into a vibrational frequency in this move, and I didn't know how to deal with the 3D world. I mean, it was like I didn't know how to pay my bills. I totally forgot sometimes. I had to create an Excel spreadsheet and keep it up on my monitor so I remembered to pay everything I had to pay and the date I paid it and all that, because I couldn't seem to get my head on, is what it felt like. And I was struggling in two worlds. I loved the world that I was in, but I realized that I didn't know how to be grounded in this world. And it doesn't have to be the third dimensional world, but we're still living in this world because we still have to pay our bills. We still have to do all the things that we do as far as that human existence of taking care of ourselves and providing for our families, making sure there's food on the table, that kind of thing. Because we're not like a very close, tight-knit society. And the way I look at it, and back in the old days, or when you look at Star Trek and how the communities are, I think we are in the process of learning how to rebuild communities. I think we used to have communities and we forgot them along the way, and now we're going back into rebuilding. And I believe that part of what's happening with us now is we're in that process of rebuilding a community, because they always said it takes a village to raise a child. And I think for all of us, for the changes that are occurring on this planet right now, between what's happened, all over the world. I mean, with rising costs, with people really struggling from paycheck to paycheck, we are depending on our neighbors more and more all the time. And I know that with Sal being out, I went down this road of, oh my God, we're going to go into financial ruin. No, we're not. But it was my fear talking. It was a habit that I created. And I have been really pushing, moving, and doing my best to stay in a higher vibration than coming back down into the 3D, into fear, panic, and terror. What was interesting is last week I had busted through something in marketing that was like, oh my God. And the minute I busted through, it was 3 solid days of working with the tech company on this and trying to get this working. And when I busted through, Sal walks in and he's holding a $100 bill in his hand. And he says, somebody left this on my windshield. And I'm like, oh my God, it's a gift. And he's like, well, I'm going to go find out who did it. I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? Stop it. You just need to stop it, because it was a gift. And the message that I received was, everything's okay. You don't have to worry. And it did. It was just totally relaxed into this. I totally relaxed into it. And Sal had to stop and think about what his deserve issues were, because somebody was kind enough to give him a $100 bill. And I think somewhere along the way, our neighbors know something happened, because Sal hasn't shoveled the driveway, our sidewalks during the snow. Our neighbors have been doing that. Sal hasn't left the house pretty much in the last month because of his sciatic being out. And I think just somebody's watching and observing, and they just decided to help us or something. I'm not sure, but I really do appreciate that. I mean, it was just a beautiful message that everything is okay. And before I go into the 5th dimension consciousness, we're going to go ahead and take a quick commercial break. Are you ready to step into your true potential? Kathleen Flanagan's Get Into Alignment session helps you break through blocks, balance your energy, and align with your highest self. Experience clarity, purpose, and flow like never before. Visit KathleenMFlanagan.com and unlock the power of living in alignment today. Welcome back, everyone, to the Journey of an Awakening Spirit. This is Kathleen Flanagan, your host, and we're streaming on the Bold Brave TV network. And the final tip that I mention on the 4th dimensional consciousness, when I was talking about that, we're going to feel both highs and lows, and we're stuck between two worlds. The other thing that does happen in that is you can have elation in one moment, and then you can go into deep terror and fear in the next. And I know for me, I have been wavering in and out. I mean, I tell people that I'm terrified, I'm terrorizing myself because of all the changes that I'm making, and I am. But I'm also ecstatic at the same time, because I realize if you want to do something different, you got to do something different. You know, if you want something different, you got to do something different. So what I and another revelation that came to me also was, because the world is shifting, and we literally are, the worlds are starting to separate, where we're going to get further and further from the third dimensional world. Now, you could choose to stay in that world. That's totally up to you. It's a free will and free choice. But if you're making the decision that you want to make that leap, the other thing that you need to do, and part of this transition, is when you feel terror, it's just be with it. Because there's a lot of things that we need to release and let go that's in our thinking. And when the other night, I was reading this book, the Right Use of Will books, and it made sense, because I'm thinking, God, I feel like I feel terror a lot, but it's not, and I do feel it, but it's about the releasing of things that happened that I didn't have an understanding of as a child, in past lives, if you believe in that type of thing. And I started realizing, it's like, oh, I know what I'm doing. I'm working on being able to go into this place so I could bring light and love into it. Because, if we're feeling terror, it's because there's no light or love there, and we don't know what we're terror is. The boogeyman is in the closet, the monster's under the bed kind of thing. But as we get older and mature, it's about going in and looking at that, because we're looking at things and perceiving things as a child, and we're not children. We're adults right now. And so it's about facing those thought forms, facing what it could be. And like I always say, just be with it for 30 seconds or 90 seconds, because it'll pass in 90 seconds. It'll be terrifying in that 90 seconds, but if you just breathe with it and just kind of sit there and let the light in, it's going to move. When we're going into the fifth dimensional consciousness, we're looking more at the unity, love, and interconnectedness with all beings. All of a sudden, it's no longer me against you, us against them, black or white. We realize that we're all the same. We all want the same things. When you get rid of what this looks like, everything underneath the surface is the same. We still have that. We still want to provide for our families. We still want to have a good life. We still want it to be an enjoyable experience and not a drudgery. And when we start doing that and feeling that, that's when we start moving more, and you start seeing that, not everybody's bad out there. The media is telling people that are bad. I really don't believe that the world is as bad as the media makes it sound, but that's me. I don't listen to the news. I know what's going on in the world, but I just don't choose to listen to the news, because it's doom and gloom, and you might as well just kill me now. Why should I continue to live? And that's not, our world operates differently than that. So I'll turn off the news. That's what I would say. Just turn off the news, because if you turn off the news, you start seeing there's so much more good on this planet than bad. You start living more in the flow of abundance, trust, and surrender. And that's the one thing that I have noticed the most is happening in my life. I mean, when I made those decisions to do something different and be something different, and release and allow Spirit to come in and help me, and ask for the help that I need for the areas that I don't know or weaken, I started noticing that, even if it's not money necessarily, abundance comes in so many different ways besides money. And I'm finding abundance coming in. Like, all of a sudden, I have more friends. I have more connections with people. I'm trusting more. I surrender all the time. Every time I'm like, get back in my head and I'm a crazy person, and I just like, okay, you got to breathe and get back into the heart. The minute I get back into my heart space, everything seems to flow. And that's a challenge. Sometimes that's a real challenge, especially when life keeps doing what life does. But I'm in control of my life. I'm in control of my thoughts, and I'm in control of what comes out of my mouth. And as long as I stay there and stay present with that, be here now, I'm the one that's more in control of what's going on in my future. Intuition becomes a primary logic, and I can't express that enough. The people that I know that have moved into more of the fifth dimensional energies, their intuition is everything. They trust that implicitly. I noticed over the weekend that, and I think I drove something else further home, is that when I got through this breakthrough with the marketing, I realized, and then I was on this training call yesterday, and I'm like, oh my God, I did everything that he's talking about, but I can tweak it because I'm putting something together. And I'm like, oh my God, this, and I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do, and this whole thing flowed in front of my eyes. So I created it. And we have this conversation about this on the next phase of email marketing, what it really looks like, not what we think it looks like. And I was doing everything that he was saying, but it's like, oh, I could tweak this and I can tweak this. And I was fine with that. And what was interesting this morning is I went out and I put up a landing page on what I'm doing. And even though I haven't marketed or driven anybody there, I just put it up and somebody actually signed up. They found it and signed up and got into my little alignment training thing. And I was like, whoa, what does that tell me? I'm in alignment. I am in alignment with spirit. And because of that, the flow, it was like I just flowed into it, and I keep getting more and more clarity. And that's what's really amazing, is when you start trusting your intuition, you find out that you're okay and everything's going to be okay, because you're trusting yourself. You're trusting what your innate knowing ability is. Instead of giving your power away, you are taking back your power. And who cares if people like you or don't like you? Because I don't care anymore. I think I'm pretty cool, and I know what I'm here to do, and I'm going to do it. And you start developing that, because when you're in alignment and you understand what your purpose is, you don't care what people have to say, because you're being driven by something bigger than you. And that's a very powerful force to work with. But it's also one of the most rewarding. Yeah, you have to adjust to it. Trust me, you have to adjust to it. But as long as you keep moving forward and asking spirit, if it's too much, to just ease up just a little, they will. If you want more, they'll be there. The thing is you're still driving the boat. You're still navigating. They're just helping you and assisting and bringing things towards you. The other thing is time feels fluid, more present moment awareness. And I can't even tell you, I think it was one day, I don't know if it was Friday or Saturday or Sunday, but I was like, what day of the week is it? Because it was like all the days almost seem like they're the same. Like I forgot what day of the week it is. Not that it matters, but we seem to know, we have these patterns and these ruts. And the one thing that I want to do is I want to break out of being habitual. I want to be as present as I possibly can be, which then pushes me up into a higher level of frequency. I stand between two worlds when I'm doing that. This is something that's I'm experimenting with this. I'm learning how to do it. But I also find that when I'm doing that, I'm also like the time, like what day of the week is it? Because I couldn't remember what time it was, because it was just time. It wasn't daylight or nighttime or Monday or Wednesday. It was just, I was in a zone. I was in an energy field. And that's what the fifth dimensional energy is. It's just being in an energy field. And we don't have the things to tell us that we're linear, that we're human, so to speak. You know, you're out there in the world, like your essence is out there. And then your healing abilities have a tendency to increase. You increase your manifestation, and your divine alignment becomes natural. Very, very true on that. I mean, I'm amazed at how much I can manifest anymore. I'm amazed at how fast I can heal my body. I tune in and I just do it. And I remember when I first started learning how to do that, I mean, really powerfully, was again in 2008. And I got rid of a bladder infection I was getting, and I got rid of it without having to go to the doctor. And it blew me away. And I realized the power that I had in manifesting my own health. Because I don't like being sick. I think it's a waste of time. It makes me crazy. I respect the body when it has to do it, because I know sometimes it just needs to just fall down and do whatever it does and get rid of everything and start all over. And I get that too. But when I did this, there was a raging thing. Somebody almost killed so many of us in this intersection. I'll never forget that day. I was raging because the woman was like in the middle of an intersection and I'm in Chicago area, and it was so many people, and I'm surprised she didn't get killed. I'm surprised she didn't kill anybody. And I was so scared. And I remember that. And, I learned a lot from that. Of, what do you do? First of all, try not to react like that. I have gotten better at that. I still have work, but I'm better at that. So some of the signs that you could be experiencing during this shift is that you could be feeling detached from the old world, that things that used to matter don't anymore. Found that to be very true. There's a loss of interest in material possessions, competition, or validation. I remember when I started going through this, that money didn't matter to me. It really didn't. I certainly don't like competition. I am competitive, but I don't like it. And I stopped worrying about the need to be validated. I started validating myself, and that was probably one of the biggest game changers for me, because again, that was my way of taking back my power and knowing that I had as much value as the next person on the planet. Heightened empathy and sensitivity to energy. I've always had that. That is nothing has changed there. I mean, again, I was telling people last week, I'm like a cat, something's out of whack. And I could feel it, and I look for it. It's like something's amiss. When I feel something's amiss, but I can't pinpoint it, but I keep looking for it, and I always find it. I always find it, because it's like that burr under your skin that you just want to get it taken care of. And I have noticed that works with me a lot. Because I'm very present, and I notice when things are shifting and changing. And we're going to go ahead and take a quick commercial break. Your mindset shapes your reality. With Kathleen Flanagan's Mindset Blueprints, you'll learn powerful techniques to shift your thoughts, break limiting beliefs, and design a life of abundance and success. It's time to reprogram your mind for the life you truly desire. Visit KathleenMFlanagan.com and start building your new blueprint today. Welcome back, everyone, to the Journey of an Awakening Spirit. This is Kathleen Flanagan, your host, and we're streaming on the Bold Brave TV network. Another sign that you could be experiencing is feeling an inner peace during chaos. That is one of the most powerful places to be. And I don't feel that a lot, but I have felt it, where the world seems to be falling apart and I'm just, life is good, all is well. And it's a very stabilizing feeling when you're there as well. And so that could be something else that you could be feeling, is there's nothing better than feeling that, because when you're in that deep state of peace, you know that all is well with the world, regardless of what it looks like. You know that you're taken care of. You know that you're not going to die. You just know. You know. And that's a very powerful place to be when you're in that, because you become a beacon of light for the people around you if they're in chaos. Your groundedness, your standing firm in your knowingness helps people to calm down and realize it's okay. And that's the beauty of that, of being okay when everything else is falling apart, that people have someone that they can hold on to or look up to or try to emulate at that moment, because they realize they're out of control. And maybe because you're in control, maybe they realize there's something different in whatever it is that you're holding. They want that too, and you can show them the way. And that's, being a guide that way is very powerful and way bigger than you. You can also be feeling physical symptoms like fatigue, ringing in the ears, vivid dreams, changes in your diet preferences. Oh my God, I can't even tell you. My ears ring all the time. It's just a way of life. I have no idea why. I don't think it's tendonitis or whatever they call it. I do feel tired, even though I get a good night's rest. Sometimes I do feel very tired because the energies that you're feeling and experiencing are downloading on you. And that means that the heaviness that you're carrying inside of your body is changing. So when you're feeling that, then it's like, because Sal and I, there's times it's like, what do you want to eat? I don't know. And we don't know. I mean, we just don't. It's like nothing sounds good, nothing tastes good, but we want something different because our bodies are looking for some different type of nourishment, that we want to eat better food, more organic foods, which we do. Drink plenty of water. I mean, those diet changes, but sometimes it's just creating foods in a way that I've never put together. So I'm always looking at cooking channels and seeing what's out there and trying new recipes, because sometimes the combinations of the food just sound more appealing than, the meat and potatoes, so to speak. The typical American diet is trying to do something different. And in my dreams, there are times where I think this world is a dream. There are days when I was like, this is the dream. And when I go to sleep, I'm going home and I'm living my real life. Because, even though our dreams are wild and wacky sometimes, there's a lot of things that go on up in those dreams that I think are more real than what we experience here. And I know that in 2008, when I was in Chicago, I had so many dreams, and they're written down in the books, and I knew what they meant. They were warnings. They were telling me what's coming. They were information dreams. I mean, there were so many dreams, and every single one of those dreams, they were prophetic as well. They came to pass. Every single one of those dreams came to pass in one form or another. And I was pretty amazed by that. And I'm having those kind of dreams again. I'm fine with having my dreams like that, but I don't always step back and look at that there's a shift coming. I don't always take the time to notice that. That's why I wanted to talk about this today, because I think this is so critical, because so much is changing in 2025 that the more awareness that we can gain to help us navigate, the better we're going to be. You could have sudden life shifts, relationships and career changes, or moving to a new place. That's always been a sign of things are moving and changing for us. I mean, look at 2020. I mean, that was a big shift. How many relationships ended during 2020 because people weren't used to being around each other that much? Sal and I got stronger. It was really a cool thing. I was so surprised when I heard how many relationships terminated during that period of time. And, not that it was a bad thing. It just was. It could have been a good thing for people. It could have been a bad thing. I don't know. It's not my life. My life wasn't that. My life made a different type of shift. But when we do have things that end, there's a reason for it. And if it's sudden, it's even a bigger reason that you're being guided to get onto a different path. And you just have to trust it. Don't put any energy into it. It's not a bad thing. It's just what life does. It's what your soul is asking you to do. And if you don't do it voluntarily, Spirit's going to come in and they're going to make the change for you. It's inevitable. That's just what it does. The other experience you could be having is an increased awareness of synchronicities and divine timing. That is a big one. We always want it in my time. I want it yesterday. I'm learning to ease into when I'm ready, it'll appear. When it's time, it will appear. Because when you're ready, and I always say this, when you match the energy of your dream, it will manifest. It's inevitable. And I've been through those experiences of when my energy matched that and it manifested. So the bigger the dream, the longer it may take, a lot of adjusting. And even though I may be impatient with where I'm at, there's a part of me that just knows that I'm in the perfect place because of just how things are unfolding. And I'm learning to trust that process more and more all the time. And it's a powerful place to be when you can just trust and have that knowingness of what's going on. So some of the ways you can raise your vibration is you focus on love, joy, and gratitude. I say that all the time because those are the highest frequencies you can have. And when you are coming from your heart of being grateful or really loving someone or having joy and happiness in your life and laughing, because I mean, there was a point that I learned to just go out there and went, oh, and you just make yourself laugh because what you're doing is you're changing everything inside of your thinking and your mind, and you're getting into a happier place. You're making that shift. You're raising your vibration. When you raise your vibration, things change. That's why I say I don't watch the news because it brings my vibration down. And a vibration is like a frequency. Look at it like you don't like what's on TV, you change the channel. It's the same thing with you. If you don't like that you're feeling down in the dumps or grumpy or angry or whatever it is you're feeling, change the channel. All it is a conscious choice. It's like what I said when I felt like I got blasted last week, when I got punched, and instead of sitting in it and wallowing in it for a whole day, I said, no, I've got things to do. I need to change this. I need to just keep moving forward. And even though I felt like I was in slow motion, I moved forward and everything shifted because of it. Everything changed because of that, because I broke another pattern. I broke another habit. And I said, no, I'm taking control of my life. And you know, life does what life does. I'm not going to put a meaning on it. I'm not going to put a judgment on it. It's just what it is. And it'll work out the way it's supposed to. And I just have to trust that process. You can also let go of your resentment, fear, and blame. We're notorious for that. God knows I have been. You know, just resent people if they mistreated me and be like, and I'd be grumpy and blah, 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 because I didn't know how to let it go. I held it, you know, or somebody did an injustice to me and I held it, and I held that resentment as well. And of course, fear-based thinking, of course. Oh my God, I'm not going to have enough money to pay my bills. How am I going to pay for this? Oh my God, an emergency came up. All of that keeps you small. It kept me small. It was safe. It was so much easier to be small than step into my true magnificence. And, you know, we're more afraid of our greatness than we are of our smallness. And that's the one thing that we all have to look at too is, you know, all the, you know, resentment, blame, fear. It's a waste of time. It truly is a waste of time. There's so much that this world needs, and you have so many gifts to bring to the world. It's like, just put it down and just go for it. Who cares what anyone thinks about it? Just do it. You'll feel good about yourself. And isn't that the goal, is to feel good about yourself? And then the other thing, again, like I said, avoid mainstream narratives like media, gossip, and toxic influencers. When you start stepping into who you are, you start seeing the truth of people, and a lot of people lie. They just lie about everything under the sun. And they're so good at telling a story that especially some of these influencers of, oh, well, look at this, and I've got all this, and they're struggling. They're struggling like there is no tomorrow. And they're lying and cheating, and they just know how to work and manipulate people. So you get out of the media, so you don't bring that depth, that dark, dense energy into your space. Just trust in this process of, gossiping is, what's the point? You're just hurting somebody. And, I never liked gossip anyways. You want to know the gossip, but you don't want to know the gossip. It was one of those, and I remember when I started realizing, because, get your nails done in the nail techs, they always have a gossip. And I just realized this is pretty nasty. It's like, wow, if you're saying that about this person, what are you saying about me to somebody else? And I just stopped the gossiping and I moved on from nail techs because I didn't know what she was saying. But, it hurts. I mean, it just hurts. It hurts you, and it hurts somebody else too. So just stop doing things like that as well. And we're going to go ahead and take a quick commercial break. Feeling overwhelmed? Take a moment to reconnect with your inner peace. Join Kathleen Flanagan's powerful de-stress meditation designed to help you release tension, calm your mind, and restore balance. Just a few minutes can transform your day. Visit KathleenMFlanagan.com and start your journey to tranquility today. Welcome back, everyone, to the Journey of an Awakening Spirit. This is Kathleen Flanagan, your host, and we're streaming on the Bold Brave TV network. Another thing you can do to prepare for the shift is being mindful and just staying present. Just be very conscious about where you are, what you're doing, what you're thinking, how you're feeling. And that will get you into more in alignment with yourself and help navigate through the changing waters. Heal the traumas and release karmic cycles. We all have trauma in some form or another. We were all children. We all interpreted things a certain way. Release those traumas. If you've been abused, heal them. Go through the dark night and deal with it. It may suck, but you know what? It's liberating, and that's the thing that you want, is you don't want to keep carrying that kind of stuff around. So release that, because if you can heal the trauma, you start releasing the karmic debt, and you don't have to come back and relive with that person again, or you're the one being the perpetrator or whatever it is. So really take the time to heal those traumas and look at the shadow side of you to bring awareness and light into those dark recesses. And then spend some time in nature. And when you're spending time in nature, you're in the earth's frequency, you're feeling, there's energy, there's vibration. I love hugging trees. I just love being in nature, and I love hugging trees because it soothes the soul. And when you're in that, it's like all is well with the world when you're in nature, because nature just knows how to be in balance, and we're not. And we can take and learn a lot through nature. Nourish the body and your spirit. Eat high vibrational foods, fruits, vegetables, drink clean water, meditate, do breath work, do energy work, yoga, anything, exercise, that kind of thing that gets the body moving, because as the body's moving, it's not stagnant, and it just keeps releasing toxins. It releases negative thoughts. It gets the endorphins going in the brain to where you're happier. And then again, get plenty of rest, because the ascension process is exhausting. I mean, it's a higher frequency, and we're very dense. And in order to be able to handle that, we've got to get rid of the density that's in our bodies. And a lot of it is how we think, it's how we're eating, it's how we're feeling, it's the negativity, it's not dealing with trauma. You've got to release that to come into a higher vibrational frequency. And then surrender and trust the process. Just let go of how things should be. How do you know how things should be? You've decided that you know better than God? I mean, some of the things that have happened in my life I could never have created by myself. So I love when you let go and how things become bigger and better than what you could have ever dreamed. Embrace the change and trust in the divine plan. Hard one. I'll give you that. It's a hard one, but it's well worth doing that. And then recognize that the challenges are opportunities for expansion. I can't tell you how much that is a game changer for me when I quit quit thinking that God is doing to me. And it was really an opportunity for growth and expansion. Because the minute I changed my mind, because I wanted to be happy all the time, and even though life was doing what life does, I stopped putting meaning behind it. And I realized, and there were so many lessons that were learned. And I grew from some of the things that have happened that may have been bad, which were not bad. They were actually a very good thing. I can't tell you, I mean, to this day, that flooding that happened in my basement, to this day, we're still seeing the gift of that to this day. So basically that is what I would just recommend, is just really recognize the signs, just be with yourself and just feel the changes that are occurring. And then ask your body, ask spirit, ask whoever you need. Get some guidance, get some coaching if you need that. Also, make sure that you're observe your thoughts daily. I mean, and you could do small practices like have a morning gratitude practice. What is your morning routine? Deep breathe. I do that a lot throughout the day. I'll just start breathing deeply just because. And it just seems to keep that endorphin going, and it helps to feel where I stay grounded at the same time. And that's very, very important, is you want to stay grounded even in all the changes, and have a support team around you, because the support team really makes a big difference when you find out that you're not alone and others are feeling it, or if you need help. I mean, I've done that where I've reached out to people and it's like, oh my God, I'm like on this precipice of breaking through and I don't know how to do it. And I'm so sorry, but can you help me? Just hold the space for me or whatever. And people are willing to do that. Believe it or not, they're not judging you. They're willing to help you get through it. So trust that. Trust that people really care about you and that they're moving forward. Well, I want to thank all of you for joining me today. I hope you learned something. If you want to learn more, you're more than welcome to reach out to me at Brave TV at KathleenMFlanagan.com. If you found value, please send the link off to friends and family if they can get some value out of this. My books, Dancing Souls, The Call, The Dark Night of the Soul, and Awakened, are on Amazon.com and the KathleenMFlanagan.com site. I do have a free de-stress meditation at KathleenMFlanagan.com, as well as a list of other services that I provide. And I will see all of you next week, Tuesday at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And from my heart to yours, I hope you have a fabulous week.